And joining us now, political analyst Brian Sobel. Before we get to your overall thoughts on how the president did tonight, let's talk about that missed handshake and then Nancy Pelosi standing up at the end of the address and ripping up the president's speech.
I thought it was unfortunate. It was inelegant. This is the speech where the whole world tunes in once a year to hear what the president of the United States is saying about international affairs and domestic affairs. And I think in retrospect, she's going to look at that and say, hey, I might have taken another course.
Brian, let's talk about the speech itself. So I'm 62. I remember during the Nixon administration and the Vietnam War, that was as divided as I have seen the country in my lifetime until now. Did it feel to you like the president used the State of the Union address tonight to bring the country together?
My general impression of the speech tonight was that it was somewhat reminiscent of the old Reagan, It's Morning in America again. He took his time in the speech to articulate all these metrics to prove to the American people and to reinforce the idea that he is on a roll, that the American public is on a roll, and that sort of thing. I think at the end of the day, a lot of statistics we're going to see a battle over some of those numbers.
The president did tout a long list of accomplishments in his 3.5 years, just to name a few: record unemployment, a booming economy, 7 million people off of food stamps, 12,000 new factories. Not a lot of applause from Democrats, as you'd expect, but talk about, this is really the beginning of the 2020 election cycle. How do you contrast these two parties?
Well, right now, the Democrats are struggling to find a candidate that they can coalesce around or behind. They don't have that yet, and we saw that very clearly in the caucuses of Iowa last night. They're a party struggling right now, to be quite honest, with not a lot of months to go to re-election. If you looked at that speech tonight, Donald Trump gave, in some respects, a pretty good political speech because he listed all the things his administration has done and all the reasons why he connects with the American people. The Democrats have to get in the game here really, really quickly.
If you look at the speech, was there a moment that struck you where you went, okay, that was nice?
I think when he talked about lifting people up, and there were a couple of times in there where there were general themes around that, I like that in a State of the Union speech because, again, the State of the Union is the State of the Union. It's not about a political battle between Republicans and Democrats, and you want to leave the arguments at the door for the State of the Union if you can. And when you're in that room and and I've been at a State of the Union speech, it's filled with excitement and hope and optimism. And so tonight you didn't see that for some number of representatives. They clearly didn't like the speech, or they don't really like the president.
All right, we'll leave that as the last word. Brian, as always, thanks for joining us tonight.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. Well, a final vote in the president's impeachment trial is set for tomorrow in the U.S. Senate. The outcome seems to be a foregone conclusion. The president is expected to be acquitted by the Senate's Republican majority after the vote last week against witnesses. And you can watch tomorrow's hearing and that key vote beginning at 10 o'clock in the morning on KTVU+.